Richard Branson sent me a handwritten letter from Necker Island. In that letter, he put Cordell. When I moved to the Caribbean, my mum came with me, but she stayed there to look after my grandparents. For about 15 years, lived without my mum. 2 years ago, it was COVID, and she came over to see me. And literally within 3 weeks, my mum caught COVID, and she died. People ask me all the time, "How do you do it, bro?"
How did you get over that?
How did I get over it?
So what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Visionation Success Stories podcast. Today, my guest with me is Mr. Cordell Jeffers. How are you, bro?
I'm great, thank you. Great to be here, man. We've done this before, but we're back again. And listen, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me on the platform, man.
No worries, man. Yeah, I think last time we had a bit of technical issues, so it was a bit frustrating, but you know we're here again. So hopefully this time we'll improve on the last time. You know, I think it was how long ago was it? About at least half a year ago, I think.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it, the time?
It's been a while. Bro.
I think it was the start of the... I'm sure it was like May-ish, around that time, yeah. So we're back, man. Persistent and consistent, man. And I've seen you've got a lot of amazing podcasts out since then as well, man. So credit to yourself, bro.
So what have you been up to recently? Work-wise, what have you been doing?
Recently, you know, I'm a dad now, so fatherhood has been great, amazing. I'm quite new to it, but you know, we learn every day. Kind of got to learn on job with that, just like everything else. Business, you know, speaking, coaching, you know, coaching people to speak and make impacts with others, been amazing. And obviously, you know, I've got some other business ventures that, you know, I'm investing my time and energy into at the moment as well. So yeah, man, everything's all good. Yeah, just learning and growing every day, man. That's it, man. I think that's the kind of like my ethos to life is just learn and grow every day, man. If you can be that 1% better every day, that's the plan. Do you know what I mean?
Obviously, I've heard a lot about, we discussed last time as well, I've heard a lot about your story and, you know, how that impacted you quite a bit significantly in your life. And, you know, when you said, you know, you went back home and stuff like that. So tell us a bit about that, what happened and how that changed you as a person and made you who you are today. Yeah,
so a bit of my story is, you know, for people that haven't heard it before, school, education, struggled with. You know, I'm dyslexic, so I was always kind of like behind my peers in school. Always kind of like bottom sets and stuff like that. Struggled a lot. Back then, we're talking, I'm 31 now, so you're talking like 16, 17 years ago, yeah? Literally, there wasn't much help or support for people that, you know, had dyslexia. So, you know, I became quite frustrated quite quickly. And yeah, I'd say I'd end up kind of rebelling against the school system. You know, the school system for me was very black or white. It's either, you know, this is the right answer, this is the wrong answer. And I'm always a person that's quite inquisitive. So I used to like to challenge things, you know, like if that is right, why is it right? You know, because this don't make sense and stuff like that. But then back then, instead of kind of, you know, seeing it as a good thing, what the teachers used to do is used to see it as, you know, you're disruptive, get out of my classroom. Like this is the answer. That's what you got to put in your books. So if you don't like it, kind of get out. So which I think is quite unfair. Do you know what I mean? Because if you got someone quite inquisitive, you know, if you see somebody, you know, being quite opinionated, you know, that their leadership qualities, do you know what I mean? They're things that can actually help you, you know, in your further life. But, you know, always getting kicked out of classrooms, being disruptive, detentions every second. Detention turns into isolation. So I spent a lot of my time outside the classroom. I think by the time I reached year 9, towards the end of year 9, I ended up getting kicked out of school. And it wasn't because I was a really bad kid or, you know, fighting or anything like that. That wasn't my thing. It was more just that they were saying I was disrupting and I was also leading people as well. So they used to class me as a ringleader. You know, people always wanted to be around me. But again, it's a leadership quality. So why not embrace that in me? Embrace those things in me. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, but, you know, they didn't quite understand, and I ended up getting kicked out of school by the time I was in year 9. Now, obviously, I come from a Caribbean background, and don't get me wrong, you see, my mum, she would back me 100%. But when I got kicked out of school, she thought the best thing to do was to for me to go to the Caribbean, a small island called St. Kitts and Nevis. And the reason why she wanted to do that is because she wanted to take me out my environment, go to another environment where there wasn't a lot of like resource or, you know, a lot going on in terms of like what people have. But she wanted me to see another side of life and it, you know, how to really appreciate and have gratitude. And at the time, you could imagine, I'm like, what, 15, like 14, 15? I don't want to leave. You know what I mean? Like, I'm in school, I'm the cool kid. You know, I've got my first girlfriend and stuff like that. I don't want to leave my environment. But, you know, she sent me over there. And I'm not going to lie, being over there was the best thing that has ever helped me. It proper shaped me to become the person I am today, man. So I was over there. And I just learned so much. I learned about, you know, values, culture, my own history, which was important for me. I learned, I seen people with not a lot, but still strive for everything. And that was an amazing mentality to have. And I kind of adopted that mentality quite early on. So that kind of, at the time, I kind of resented what my mum had done because she'd taken me from England and sending me to the Caribbean to live with my grandparents. And you know what it's like with grandparents. And it ain't easy to live with your grandparents, you get what I'm saying? Quite strict rules, you know, all you've got house chores every second, do you get what I'm saying? However, though, you know, these things built me, man. And yeah, you know, but I was there for about just under 2 years and, you know, it really shaped me. Even being over there, being in education over there, it was a lot different. So I came with my kind of like English attitude. Do you get what I'm saying? So I'm kind of like, oh yeah, teachers, like these, because I had enough of teachers in the UK, innit? So by the time I'm over there, I'm kind of just like, yo, school, whatever, I'm just doing it. But over there, you can't have the attitude. Do you get what I'm saying? And back then, I remember a few times being cheeky, being rude, not presenting myself in school properly. I got beat with a cane. Do you get what I mean? And that it might seem crazy now, but back then that was normal. You know what I mean? I wasn't doing it in the UK, but over there, they were still getting beat with the cane. So I felt the cane a few times. Imagine that. That's a culture shock. I'm like, what? How can a teacher hit me with something? Like, are you mad? So that was a bit crazy. But I learned my lesson. And yeah, you know, I came back to the UK with a fresh mind, a fresh attitude. You know, my values had changed, and I just wanted to, you know, really change my life around and, you know, take every opportunity that I had here in the UK and make it something and make sure I made my mum proud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like you would say basically like it humbled you going there because, you know, it's going back when you see like even these days if you do go back to like a country that's not as modernized as the West, well as in like UK or USA or something like that. Like if you go back, for example, if I went back home, like it's not like anywhere near the same level, and the people that are working there, like they're working to a different level, and it's completely different how we are here, and it's like an eye opener, and it changes your perspective, and then when you come back, then you can apply those lessons, and it sounds pretty much like that's what you did at a very young age as well. Like you picked up those lessons because I don't think everyone would do that if you're a kid. Sometimes you might just carry on the same.
100%, man. I think it's important, man. Like, you know, in the Caribbean community, maybe in other communities like Asian communities as well, you probably hear that quite a lot. Like when you hear from the UK, oh, I'll send you back home. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. You probably get threatened that. My mum actually went through with it. But I think it's an amazing way to change perspective. Do you get what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to get taken out of your environment, go into a different environment to kind of appreciate and value actually what you had. Do you get what I'm saying? So I think, yeah, that was important, man. And, you know, when I came back, you know, I really tried my hardest to you know, get my life straight. Now, when I came back, I moved with my auntie in Neutrals, and Neutrals, you know, not a lot of funding goes in there. You know, a lot of, you know, it's quite deprived as well. It's tough. It's the hood, innit? Do you get what I'm saying? And you know, growing up in the hood as well, that I learned so many amazing lessons there. But what I noticed is, for me and my peer group, is that change of perspective and me getting taken out my environment. You know, it really helped me grow quickly. Do you get what I'm saying? Where I would say a lot of my peers didn't get that opportunity. Do you get what I'm saying? So they didn't get to see that other side as well. So yeah, it was mad though. But even growing up, I've got stories growing up there as well, man. It was difficult, but you know, we got through.
What was the most eye-opening thing that you saw back home in the Caribbean?
In the Caribbean, one of the most eye-opening things, I would say things like just the hustle nature and the, like, you know what I mean, like. Okay, for example, you know, don't get me wrong, Caribbean, beautiful island. And when people think about the Caribbean, they think about all the amazing parts. It is beautiful. It's a beautiful, you know, it's beautiful islands. But there is poverty there as well. So just seeing people not have much and like live inside like shack houses and stuff like that, but still be so positive and grateful was just, it was weird to me. I was like, what? Like, do you know what I mean? But they were still so happy. And it's just like, you know, and you probably see it a lot, man. Like when you're watching TV and stuff like that, you see kids from poor parts of the world, but they still always got a smile on their face, to get what I mean? And that was an eye-opener to me. And I was thinking, raw, like, people that I'm around and even myself, like, we have everything. We get things gifted to us, in a sense. Not gifted, like, obviously there's certain levels, but we got opportunities, but we don't want to embrace them. Do you get what I'm saying? But here, kids that don't have much, but they still, you know, got a mad, crazy mindset, man, to want to make sure that they, you know, can change the way they live. Another thing as well is just seeing people, you know, just take any item that they can and just hustle, you know, down, like with the tourists and stuff like that, whether it's, you know, necklaces and stuff like that. That hustle nature, I loved it, man. And it was like little kids, just to make sure they can bring in that extra money. They're not bringing that and splashing it on jeans or, you know, Gucci or designer. They're going home to try and put food on the table as well. So do you get what I mean? And that was a mindset that was quite mind-blowing for me as well, man.
I feel like that's like innate human nature. For example, like, because they're in such poverty, they have no choice but to do that. So it kind of brings it out of them. It's like the survival instinct. Because here, like, you know what I mean? Like, the reason that people go out and they splash their money is like, they don't need to, you know, like, now it's getting a bit worse with cost of living and all that, but like, people are comfortable here, you know, you have a roof over your head, you know, comfortable, you know, there's opportunities around and there's minimum wage and stuff like that, you know,
there's ways,
those kind of things, so there's always ways around it. It's not a survival instinct at this
no
point.
100%.
That's why
man.
Back home, I feel like it's a survival instinct, so, you know, we're wired like that to be able to survive.
But that's it, man, because worst case scenario, like, you know, people just know, okay, if I don't work here, like, I'll just go to a job centre, innit? Do you get me? Not disrespecting anyone that does go job centre, but I'm just saying that is it's there for you to do. In some countries that's not there, innit? Like, it's either, you know, you work and you hustle, or you have nothing at all. Do you get what I'm saying? And you die. It's as simple as that.
So would you say, you know, when you came back, so you said basically it was like a mindset shift for you to come back, but was there times where you've come back here and then, like, because you've kind of like immersed back into this culture, that you kind of like got swayed, or like, you know, not peer pressure I would say, but just by the cultures, how it was, and just go back to like how you was before? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I would say that, you know, when I came back, you've got to understand, I left for about nearly 2 years. So when I've come back, my friends have gone from things that we just do in the playground, you know, messing around or whatnot, or, you know, little fights and that, to more, obviously everyone's a bit older now. We're talking about 16, 17. So, you know, my friends are into more serious things now. Do you get me? They're on one part of the city, you know, beefing with another side of the city. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's more like drugs and, you know, guns and, you know, criminality. Do you get what I'm saying? So I've had to kind of come back into that, because these are my brothers at the end of the day. These are the people that I grew up with. Do you get what I mean? And, you know, being around that was difficult. Do you know what I'm saying? But did I get swayed into it? Anybody that watches this that knows what I'm talking about would know that I never got swayed. I was very focused. Do you get what I'm saying? And the reason why I was that focused and didn't get swayed is because I knew what I'd just come from. Do you know what I mean? When my mum sent me back to the Caribbean. So one, I didn't want to get sent back to the Caribbean, and I didn't want to have to come back and then end up going in prison or anything like that. Do you get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I was around it, but what I done is I took from it what I needed to take from it. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. So seeing like my friends now, like, because they're trying to survive as well. Do you get what I mean? They're trying to survive and do what they have to do to put food on their table as well. Do you get what I mean? So they was like hustling and, you know, doing, you know, drugs or whatnot. And I just took the hustle nature out of it and thought, okay, how can I apply what they're doing into something legit that can make me money? Do you get what I'm saying? So I'm so grateful I was around it, because I had to, because, you know, I'm seeing these guys connect with people, get product, find customers, you know, retain relationships, to have the customers ongoing. Even though it was in a different form, I just took that and thought, okay, what can I do? Do you get what I'm saying? And that's what I started to do. Was I took that and started to, you know, buy and sell like electronics, man. I was buying and selling electronics on eBay. Do you get what I'm saying? So I was buying things from China. I was buying like Ugg boots and GHD hair straighteners. That was my first 2 products that I ever invested in. And the way I invested it in is that we used to get something called EMA, which was £30 a week. So you used to attend college, and for attending college, you used to get £30 in return. Now, I never used to attend college, but I could charm my teachers around to sign it off, you get me? So in return, I'd get like £30, whatever. And I used to stack all my £30 a week, and then I'd buy like hair straighteners. Crazy, probably thinking hair straighteners, that's a mad one. But At the time, I used to look at my cousin, one of my older cousins, Nikelia. She would have like GHD hair straighteners, UGG boots and stuff like that. And she would spend a lot of money on them. And I'm thinking, yo, how can I get them and make money on it? Do you know what I mean? And then I found them, the rip-off versions, the AA ones, you know what I'm saying? Like, I used to get them and sell them, and people used to buy them. Do you get what I mean? And I used to kill it, man. I was killing it. I was buying them for like £20, sell them on eBay for like 80, because don't forget, they're like 150 in the shop. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. So I was making good money on it until eBay decided to close me down. But I was killing it. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah. Making good money. And one of my other hustles that I've done, which is a good little thing that I've done as well, is on eBay. You remember, do you play PlayStation?
Yeah.
Do you like football?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So did you FIFA and Pro? Do you know Pro back in the day?
Yeah.
Pro Evolution Soccer.
Yeah.
All right, so back in the day, Pro Evolution Soccer, it never had license in it. It never had the license, so it never looked like FIFA. Like, the gameplay was sick. Yeah. It was better than FIFA, but it never looked like FIFA because all the kits and all the names were all modded up in it. Yeah. So what I've done is I found this file on eBay, and basically this file would turn your Pro Evolution to basically FIFA in it. Do you get what I'm saying? It will give you all the license, make all the logos look good. So then what I used to do, we used to have to pull it on a memory card and then plug it into people's PlayStations and do it, and it. No one had it. So when I got this file, I hollered everybody in the ends and was like, yo, listen, I can make your Pro Turn look like FIFA. Oh yeah, come down, do it. I was shutting it for £5 a pop, going to people's PlayStations, plugging it in, doing up their thing. And it just got like word of mouth. Everyone wanted me to like, yo, I heard you got like some little file that can make my Pro Evolution look official. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm like, yeah, man, I'll come down and do it. And that was like, that was one of my hustles, man. And yeah, it's just kind of grown from there, man. They were kind of like my first entrepreneurial journeys. And I just started to read. And then I'm thinking, okay, you know what? I'm doing something here that's legit, making money. My boys are doing stuff, making money. But, yo, they're risking their life. They're risking their life. They're risking time in jail. And I don't have to do that. Do you get what I'm saying? So I picked up that early on. Do you get what I mean? And, yeah, man, it's just been building ever since.
Yeah. It's about just seeing the opportunities amongst like all those stuff and trying to take lessons from everything you can. And it was similar to what we was talking about before. I was talking about that TV show about the mob bosses and stuff. Like, I watch it because I can learn something with it, because there's leadership qualities in there, there's business acumen in there, because it's all the principles are pretty much the same. There's extra things they have to do or worry about, but like you said, the relationships and the product and all that kind of stuff. It's all similar, and you can learn a lot from that.
It's the same. It's the same.
To be fair, like those kind of people that do that as well, I spoke about it before. Like, if they come into a legit business, they could be really successful because they've got the business acumen already.
Very successful.
But it's difficult to get out of it, So
nah, definitely, it's difficult to get out of it. But you've got the business acumen, and why waste time making? I don't know. Let's say you make 100 grand a year, like very successful, drug dealer or whatever. Yeah, make 100. Why not transfer that into something which you can create legacy from, and make 100 million? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, you can do that. You get me? With no kind of like pressures, but again, it's hard, and people only know what they know. Everything is a lack of understanding and knowledge. Do you get what I'm saying? Luckily, I got that shift of perspective from my mom. So when I came back now, I was kind of like, okay, cool. How do I apply everything I've just learned in the Caribbean into this environment? Do you get what I'm saying? So I was seeing what people was doing, and I was just taking out the positive from it. Okay, cool. Yeah, these guys are doing this, they're doing that. How can I these are transferable skills. Do you know what I mean? So I can watch and learn, but I don't want to do it because I don't want to get in trouble. But let me apply it to something a bit more, sustainable for myself. And yeah, man, it's been a mad journey, man.
Yeah, definitely resonate with that. Like you're saying, get the positives out of whatever someone's doing or whatever value they're giving. Like even in this day and age, like right now, for example, like myself, if I'm scrolling on Instagram, I'm seeing like influencers or whatever, and they're giving advice or talking about stuff. For me, it's like, I'm not following just one person. I'll take one advice from one person, take the other advice, mash it up all together, take this advice. Then they're saying something else that I don't really agree with. I'm not going to take that advice.
That's it.
But I'll take the stuff that I think is right for me and positive. Now I'll take, you know what I mean? That's just how I operate, and I think that's the best way to be, because you can, if you're looking for the positive in everything, you're not being bogged down by the negative. You're looking to get the opportunities from it, and then you're building on that, to go forward.
100%.
But yeah, like you said as well, like the reselling thing, like when I was younger, I'd do similar stuff as well, bro. Like buy shoes, I'd resell them, try to find the opportunities. And in that moment, I never used to think like, no, this is a business or anything. I just used to be like, I'm making money. Of course,
man.
Making an extra 10, 20 quid, like, I'm making money.
Making money, that was a big thing back then. Do you get what I'm saying? An extra 20 quid, are you crazy? Do you know what I mean? Like when I was doing it, I was like 2 bills a week, 3 bills a week sometimes, and you know what I mean? Like it was consistent money that I was making on eBay. Because don't forget, Listen, I was doing eBay before there was even Amazon was popping. Amazon wasn't even a thing when I was doing eBay. I'm making myself sound way ancient than I am. However, though, it was the truth. Like eBay was just a book thing. It was more for books. Do you get what I'm saying? So when I was doing it, it was a big thing, man. Like eBay was popping. Do you get what I mean? And yeah, man, and everyone loved the product, so I used to get the reviews. But because they were fake, eventually eBay, probably like a year or two later, I think it was, they started to like just take down all my listings. And I was like posting, so they caught onto it. Do you get what I'm saying? But yeah, man. But I used to put them in the in the description. I used to tell people replica. Like this is a replica, but it is one of one quality. Do you get what I'm saying? So if you want it, you want it, and this is the price. And people used to buy them because they used to work. I even had a hairdresser, which I'm not going to put on blast, but she used to buy them off me weekly as well. So she really upped my business, because say I was ordering like 5-6 hair straighteners, yeah, she came and seen the quality of them. I was like, listen, I could sell these to my customers. And then she would want orders time after time, man. Do you get me? But then one time I ordered a massive order, I put all my money into it. Literally everything that I had, because I was like, yo, I'm going for a big one, and it all got stopped at customs, man. That winded me.
What did you do with that then? How did you get rid of that?
How did I get over it?
How did you get rid of that, like the stock that you had?
Nah, it got customs took it away.
Oh.
So it couldn't come through because they found like the looks into it, said it was like, you know, not real and whatnot, and then I couldn't get it cleared. Bro, it winded me. That was all my money and everything. I was just thinking, yeah, let me go for the big one. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, man, I gotta be excited, man. Do you know what I mean? Don't invest that. The lesson from that is don't invest everything you've got, man. Always make sure you invest what you can lose on it. Do you know what I mean?
That was a lesson for you.
That was a big lesson for me, man.
And you took that from there. So you mentioned that you went. So when you came back, you went back into college, was it? So you went back into education at that point.
When I came back, I went to a PRU. So I couldn't get into no schools because my teacher said, basically, you know, we don't want him in school. He's going to end up in prison, pretty much. Like the way he goes on, he would end up in prison. Which I didn't believe in that. I didn't believe that. So I don't know why they was trying to put that narrative on me. Do you get what I'm saying? And I always tell people, don't let people's opinions of you determine your reality. Do you get what I'm saying? Like what people say of you, it's not real. Do you get what I mean? So I didn't believe it, and I struggled because of the reference to get into any schools. But I went to a PRU, a people, what's it called, a people referral unit? I think it's called. Yeah, I think it's called a PRU, people referral unit. And that was like where, you know, kids that get kicked out of school, they all kind of like go to these PRUs. And the PRU that I went to was in Newtown. It was rubbish. It was in one little church, and it was trying to teach GCSEs, but they didn't really care about it. It was just getting the funding, sending us off to play table tennis in the gym and stuff. It was terrible. Do you get what I'm saying? But that was a bit crazy in itself, because obviously the city at the time, you know, it's got tension in it. Do you know what I mean? There's two sides of the city, and everybody's kind of like, you know, got their little, you know, beefs and whatnot. So this PRU was in the middle of Newtown, but then, you know, you had people coming from Handsworth and all sorts of different areas. So it was a lot of tension in there as well, man. But yeah, man, again, you know, we had to just survival in it, bro. You just gotta be in there and just deal with it.
Yeah. So you went to college after that, or?
Then I went to, after that people referral unit, I was like, yo, I cannot be here. Like after like being there for like a few months, I was like, this is too much. Like, you get me? There's fights, it's just madness. Do you get what I mean? So what I'd done is I found this guy, my cousin found this person who got me into South Birmingham College pre-16. I went there. Again, I got kicked out of there though, because I think I flipped somebody over on the table tennis or something like that, and they kind of got mad. So they kicked me out, but then they brought me back. Yeah. And then, because don't forget, I'm still young. Like, even though I've come back from the Caribbean, I've learned and I'm doing things, like, I've still got that, like, playful energy about me in it. So I'm still ramping. And you get me, I'm boisterous as well in it. So there was still a lot of things that obviously I had to work on, and knowing, you know, what to do in what environment. But I ended up getting kicked out, but they brought me back. And then I ended up going to South Birmingham College. Now, when I went to South Birmingham College in Digbeth, I went on to a media course, but it was a level 2, but I never really had no qualifications. So I was meant to go on to the level 1 first, but the teacher was like, he's seen something in me, and he was like, you know what, I'll bring you on the level 2. So went on the level 2, done a year there, got like distinctions or whatever. Then I've done level 3 business, done 2 years of that, got distinctions in everything there. Yeah, and I was always good at writing, because I used to read a lot. I used to write very well. Do you get what I'm saying? For college, and then yeah, went to uni, but uni never worked out for me. I was there for like 2 years, and yeah, just flopped uni.
So, like you mentioned, like when you was growing up, before you went to the Caribbean, like, you know, you wasn't like doing too well in school because you were more like outspoken and you know you're good at speaking and stuff that we spoke about off camera as well. So what would you say? Like obviously I've had a few people, like for example on the podcast, where I know many different cases of people who didn't do well in school, you know, but they made waves in the real world when they've grown up.
Yeah.
Like, what would you say like would be the way for the curriculum to be to like kind of include like everyone? Because at the moment that's what it's like, you know. If you know certain things, if you're good at English, maths and science, like you're just top of the class, and then that means you're going to make it in life.
Yeah,
But
that's
if you don't, and it's always just classed as that, and you know, like with exams and tests and stuff, and it's always been one of those things where it's like a system, schooling system's always just, you know, favour the people that can learn well or like that can memorize things and that kind of stuff. Like, what kind of way could we go about it in the future to like basically better it for young people?
Well, school education system is still it's very black or white. It's this way or that way. Like there's no in between. And I think, you know, what schools can do is understand learning styles and try adapt different learning styles. Don't get me wrong. When you got 30, 40 kids or whatever in one classroom, it is very difficult. I'm not saying that. But we need to understand learning styles and adapt, you know, different types of learning for different students. I wasn't someone that could sit down all day and focus. Like we got kids that have got ADHD, autism, going to school, and you want them to just sit down and focus on what you're writing on the board. Like it's mad, it's mental. Like it's not always going to be that, and it's not always like people can't always learn that way. So I believe understanding different learning styles and seeing how we can adapt different learning styles. Number one. Number two, I would say, we need to put more lessons, like personal development needs to be an absolute standard in all schools. And I ain't meaning no little idiot personal development that they're doing at schools at the minute. I mean like proper like understanding the mind, you know what I mean? How can we think, critically think? How can we, you know, conflict resolution, you know, things like emotional intelligence, these kind of things need to be integrated into the school system somehow. Even just things like mental health and stuff like that, and you know how to kind of control your thoughts and emotions. It's so important because we come out, we don't get taught that in our young age. Then we go to adults and we can't deal with situations. Do you know what I mean? And then we get all, you know, depressed and upset and stuff like that. And that's because we haven't been taught these things. Do you get what I mean? So I think that's important. And also we've got to try. It would be amazing if every person that went into school, you know, you kind of understood what that child's values are as well. Because, for example, let's say I speak to a young person, right? And all he does is play Xbox, yeah? Let's say all he does is play Xbox. Like, but at school, he's failing in every subject. They say that he's dumb, he's not smart. But when he plays Xbox, he looks like the smartest person in the world. He can clock all the hardest levels. You're going on there, you can't clock them, but he can clock them. You know, he's advanced in, like, the way he goes about his gaming and stuff like that. But that means, okay, he's got a high value on gaming. So now what we've got to do for that young person is, okay, if that's one of your highest values, gaming, how can we link the values of the school to that gaming? Okay, so maths, for example, let's look at gaming and let's look at it, okay, so how can maths enhance your career of being a gaming designer or something like that? You know what I'm saying? You might need to know programming, computing, code, stuff like that. So then he's going to go to maths and other subjects and think, oh, do you know what? I might need to be a little better there because I know this is the career I want to go down. So I might need to improve my focus. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's important to, you know, understand what the child's values are and how can we link the school curriculum to their values so they're more inspired to go to lesson. Because that's all it is, right? Like, no one fails people only fail what they're uninspired to learn. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, anything that you want to learn and have a high value and you're inspired to do, you're going to learn and master it. But if you don't enjoy it, you're just going to fail. And that's standard, isn't it? Do you get what I'm saying? It don't make you dumb or not good. It just means that you're not inspired to do that, or you haven't linked that subject enough to your value. Do you get what I mean? So we've got to understand what that is, man.
Yeah, that's a very good point, man. That's like, I never really thought about it that way, but that's definitely one way that they can be looked at. But you know, it's like making a fish climb a tree, you know. That's it. Yeah, with that kind of thing, I think it's because it's like public schools and stuff, it's the funding and, you know, probably like the capacity of not being able to do that. Because I would think one good thing would be just having like one-to-one sessions with like every student once in a while. It wouldn't be obviously too often. Then you can like speak to them on a one-to-one level. People might not be, you know, might not want to speak in front of other like kids and stuff, and to speak one-to-one, you'll get to know them properly and you can understand. And then that way the teachers in the classroom, they can understand whenever, because like even my experience growing up, like in school, like in lessons and stuff, like if I got something wrong and then like the teacher would just shout at you and like this and that, like, but instead of, should be understanding and like, because that's going to just turn you away from it. Like if you just shout at me, I was like, what? Like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's one of those ones. But then the other thing is, well, on the flip side of it, and this is like, people say this a lot as well, like, do the schools or like do the people that are in charge want the people to grow up to be successful, or is it they want them to be industry plants? That's another thing.
Yeah, well, I think that's definitely true, man. Like, the school system is definitely programmed and designed to keep you kind of like mentally, enslaved to society, what society wants for you. They want you to work for the system. They want you to work until 60 years old, and then basically retire and then die. So that's what they want in it. So, but it's like you said, people that haven't done the best in school, the outspoken, the critical thinkers, the one that challenge, you start to see them do well, man. Like, I'm dyslexic, and obviously I'm a speaker as well. I'm a public speaker. That's my main thing. So when I do a lot of talks, I speak to people. I'll go in school environments, educational environments and stuff, and share my story and share what I think can improve in schooling, and how students can be better focused and do well in their careers. And I was sharing my one story on a newspaper article, and I was talking about my struggle with being dyslexic and stuff in school, and then I got a letter written for me from Richard Branson, which was crazy. So Richard Branson sent me a letter, literally a handwritten letter from Necker Island, and he put in that letter, he put, Cordell, the focus is normally on grades, and people that are dyslexic, don't tend to, do well in school, but they have other creative skills like problem solving and critical thinking. And he just said, I'm so happy that you didn't let the education system, shut you down, and you kept striving, and now you're inspiring other people. Keep it up, Richard. Pretty much that was but to even get a letter from Richard Branson was incredible. He was literally, I read so many books on his life and his business growing up. 16 years old when I was buying and selling the hair straighteners and the Ugg boots, and doing these little ventures when I was young. Richard Branson was like the person that I was aiming to be. Do you get what I mean? So to read that, and then in turn, 10, 12, 13 years later, to get a letter from him was amazing, man.
That's crazy, man. So like, how old was you then when that happened? Was it?
When I got the letter?
Yeah.
I got the letter about probably like 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was quite recent, man. It was crazy because when I got the letter at first, somebody's messaged me on LinkedIn, and they was like, "Oh, is this Cordell? Do you have an email?" I was like, "Okay, yeah, cool." So I checked out who it was. I done my background checks on who was messaging me, and I seen it was the head of Virgin Communications. So I was getting gassed because I was like, "Yo, I'm gonna be on one of them, fiber optic adverts with Usain Bolt." Remember Usain Bolt was doing the Virgin advert, so I thought I was gonna be chilling with Usain and that. And there was like, we got something, but we want to make sure that this is the right person. And then when I got it, it was even better, man. It was a letter from Richard, man, one of my biggest. No, somebody that I inspired to want to run business like him.
Wow, that is quite amazing. And like you mentioned just at the start of that, like people that are outspoken and they do the critical thinking and stuff like that, they always, it shows in real life, and it's like the cream always rises to the top.
Yeah, that's it, man.
So it will come out. But yeah, so like moving on from that, like when you was in education, then where was the next step then? How did you get into like entrepreneurship and basically coming to where you are right now and today?
Alright, cool. So obviously entrepreneurship started early from what the things that I was saying, but also in that time I was reading a lot of books on it. So again, I told you I was reading a lot on people like Branson, Alan Sugar, these kind of people. 50 Cent was a massive inspiration to me as well, and seeing what he done, because not only did he do music, he had like video games, he had trainer deals, he had water and stuff like that. So I just knew that entrepreneurship was one of my highest values. Do you get what I mean? And I just thought, this is the lane that I'm going down. And I started to read loads of books, Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So now not only am I thinking about business, I'm thinking about, okay, there's a science to being successful, and the science is first, being able to control and kind of develop your mind. Do you get what I'm saying? So that was so I've read so many books between the ages of like 16 to 21. It was crazy. Do you get what I mean? I literally brainwashed myself, because that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to brainwash myself into success, in a sense, into being successful and thinking, having the right thoughts. And one thing that happened is when, because I told you I come from the ends, right? And one time I got attacked. I don't even know exactly why, but a lot of people were quite jealous of me. Do you get what I mean? Because the friends that I had were quite serious, and I didn't have to be that stand-up guy that wants to do badness. Do you get what I'm saying? So I didn't want to do no badness, but still I'm getting protected by people that are quite serious. So people see me as a weak link. Do you get what I'm saying? They see me as a target, but they was just like, why is he getting, why is he protected by X and that person and that person? Do you get me? So they started getting a bit jealous by that. Plus, people liked me, quite social. So people kind of liked me. And I was doing my, my hustling as well. Do you know what I mean? I used to have even things, I was setting up trips to Alton Towers and stuff like that as well with my cousin as well, which was pretty cool. So people kind of got jealous, and I got attacked one night. People come to my door, kicking down my door, balaclavaed, a gang of people. And that was quite traumatic as well, because that was traumatic for myself, but it was very traumatic for my auntie, because she lived, it was like a 2-bedroom flat. Do you get what I'm saying? So having a group of guys know where you live, trying to kick the door down, that was scary for my auntie. It was scary for me as well. And but I realized after that, in life things don't happen to you, they happen for you. Do you get what I mean? And that is so important for everyone to understand, because you go through things for a reason. And in that moment, I realized I needed to, in order for me to elevate to the next level, I just needed to separate from the environment that I was in. Do you get what I mean? Because if you look at a shark, right? You can put a shark, say you got a shark from birth, you put that shark into a fish tank, it will probably grow 5 inches. But if you pull it back in the right environment, its natural environment where it can grow like the sea, it will grow to 5 foot or more. Do you get what I mean? And that's the same. Like, a lot of people are in environments where they can't grow. Right, so you have to kind of separate yourself from that environment in order to grow. And that's when I worked hard at college, got my qualifications. I didn't want to go to uni necessarily, because I knew I was an entrepreneur and I knew I could do it without it. But that was the only way at the time to get finance from student loan or whatever, to get out of my area. So then, and then I went to Manchester. And like I said, the reason why I failed uni, because I never had a massive value on it. My reason was I just needed to get out of where I was at the time. Went to uni. Again, I'm doing like events in uni, doing nights, anything. You see me? Once I'm in a place and I make the right connections, it don't matter what it is, I'm going to make something work in it. Do you get what I mean? And I went to uni and stuff like that. And I stopped all the selling online, because obviously my stock got taken and stuff like that. So I was thinking, I ain't doing that again, wasted all my money doing that. And then I started to do events at uni, and then finished uni, came back, and then I started to get into things like public speaking and stuff.
Mm-hmm. So like when you started, like you said, you read loads of books and stuff like that. Was that where the self-development kind of started, and the growth mindset and the paradigm shift in your head, where you switched and then you started thinking, like, you started training your brain, basically training like a muscle and growing it. Man, and that's where it was, like you said, the thing about what everything happens for you, not to you.
That's
and
it.
Everything happens for a reason, and that's one of the probably like the biggest principle in my life where I live by. Like, everything happens for a reason, and if you live like that, and you obviously know, like, you don't really let much affect you. Of course, you're human, like, you get affected, but
of course,
you'll take everything on. You take it in your stride. Don't get too bogged down for it. If something happens bad in business, you make a big loss.
That's it.
It happens for a reason. You learn something. You have to always look for the positive in it.
Always have to look for
your
positive.
life like that.
That's it. And what you're doing is, when you start looking for positives in negative situations, and vice versa, when you look for negative in, when things are going really well, when you can look at problems that may occur, what you're doing is you're balancing your mind, and your mind, it doesn't meant to be too positive or too negative. It's meant to be in balance. Balance is order. Do you get what I'm saying? That is the key to life, is having a balanced mindset. And what people do is, and this is how people do get quite depressed as well, is because they look at a scenario from the past that may have happened to them, and that trauma, that event, what they do is they stack loads of disadvantages to that scenario. So then they don't see the other side. But what you've got to do is you've got to go back into that scenario and then stack the benefits as well. So let's just say, for example, I got attacked, all right, at my home. I ain't gonna lie, that closed me as a person. Like, I I started not to trust people. I wasn't too sure if I got set up or whatever. But what I'd done is I put so many disadvantages to that event that it kind of like it shut down other areas in my life, innit? Like trust and stuff like that. So then what I had to do, and I've only really done it recently, is I now have stacked so many benefits of how that's helped me, because that trauma led me to go to Manchester. In Manchester, I met new people, I met new contacts, I'm in a different environment. Do you get what I'm saying? From there, when I got back to Birmingham, You know, I bought my first house, and my first house was, you know, outside of the ends as well. That was a massive focus because of the trauma that happened. Now I'm in an amazing area with, you know, amazing schooling for my daughter and stuff like that. These are things that I've made sure have happened just because of that event. So now I've got this balanced mindset. If I ever see that person again that done it, I have got nothing but gratitude. I've got to give that guy a hug because he doesn't realize as much as what he's done for me so much, innit? Do you get what I'm saying? And now I'm a public speaker and I talk in schools and, you know, colleges and stuff like that. And, you know, that's a part of my journey. Do you get what I'm saying? And these are things that have happened to me. A lot of youth go through. Do you get what I mean? So it makes me relatable as well. So yeah, man, like you've got to make sure when you go through a scenario or a bad situation, you've got to write it down on paper, and you already know what the disadvantages are, but you've got to stack up all the benefits as well. And then when you do that, you get perfect order in your life. And if you can go in life and do that for every scenario, I'm telling you now, you live life on a different plane.
Yeah, it's about like having those principles that you, like every decision that you make in your life, you'll think back to, this is the reason I'm doing it, or, you know, everything happens for a reason, and that kind of thing. Because even like obviously my religion, I believe everything happens for a reason, and also that everything is written, not in the sense that, you know, that means you can just relax and do nothing. But it's like everything is written, so everything that I'm gonna make in my whole entire life, the success I'm gonna get, it's already written for me. But I just obviously I've still got to work myself towards that, and that's every day I live my life like that, thinking of that, and that's it's like a shield on me, a barrier, and doesn't let many things affect me.
That's it.
You still get affected, but it doesn't let, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
One thing that you mentioned as well, like just now, is about when the good things happen, looking for the negatives in it. Maybe I don't do that as much. Maybe I should to balance it out a little bit. But
of course.
That's one thing that, you know, that I should maybe work on. But that's what you always talk about, the law of polarity, man. So.
Well, it's the law. Exactly, it's the law of polarity, and what it is, it's trying not to get infatuated with something, can it? Because you can have a business and it's all going well. You get so infatuated. As soon as that hurdle comes, everything shuts down. Do you get what I'm saying? And next thing you know, you lose the business, or you don't keep striving or pushing. So you've got to know what what the drawbacks are to every situation as well. So just as much as you look for the benefits and the negative, when things are too positive, or and that's just, to be honest with you, that's just standard business. Every businessman will do that. When you have a business, you get a business plan, and what's one thing that you have? A SWOT analysis, right? So you have strengths of the business, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. That is what you call polarity, understanding what that is for your business, isn't it? So yeah, man, and just understand that, negatives and positive have to be here. It's God's laws, isn't it? Like God's put these things here, the negative and the positive, it's all one. So you just have to be able to understand that and, move forward with it.
I think the negative, like getting the positives and the wins and stuff, and seeing the negatives, I think that comes from humility as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Because if you don't have the humility and you're a bit arrogant, like, you're not going to be able to see the negatives. You're just going to be too infatuated, like you said. But if you have the humility, bro, like especially when you come from the ground up, like you said, you made it out the hood and like that kind of stuff. Bro, you know what it's been like to be at the bottom. So then when you get to the top, you understand, and you might see someone that's now in the situation that you are, but you're going to be understanding towards them. You're not going to be boasting or arrogant towards them, because you understand, you've been there.
And I would say this is the problem at the moment with personal development. It's very positive thinking orientated. And it's all good, but they're trying to teach you to like completely disregard one side of yourself. Like if you was to say, I'm always positive, never negative. I'm always happy, never sad. I'm always, confident, never, unconfident. It's a lie. Do you get what I'm saying? You can never just be completely happy or completely positive all the time. You'll be walking around like it's not real. We're humans, isn't it? Human nature is to understand that you have everything and everything's in divine order. You have both sides of everything. Do you get what I'm saying? I could say, I'm always motivated, but I'm only motivated when it's my highest value. When it's not my highest value, I'm lazy. Like sometimes I'm lazy. Like I'm not always packing the dishwasher or like making sure everything's tidy around. You get what I mean? So there's every human possible personality trait in a dictionary. You own both of them. So when somebody says, you're always mean, but then you can be like, mean? What are you on about? Like other people say that I'm positive. So, but you might be mean in some stages and you might not be. It just depends where you do it. Do you get what I'm saying? So what I'm basically trying to say there is you got to own every trait and understand that you have everything inside of you. And it's that way you don't feel pressured on it. You don't feel pressure to go online and, put yourself out like, everything's all fancy and nice, bro, because that won't last. You'll burn out like that. Just be real with yourself and just understand that, God's made all of these amazing traits and personality traits and, and human nature is that, we have to understand that, we completely perfect with owning everything.
Yeah. That's why authenticity is key, and it's just one of the things like with social media and stuff that only the positive sides are seen, and that's what you're talking about in self-development and stuff. But even for me, like in business or in anything, like even in this podcast, like the most value I've got is when I've made mistakes and messed up and all that kind of stuff. Man. Like, we had the audio issue with the last podcast, and that taught me a lot. And I was like, what I mean? Like, let me not make that mistake, and let me check it every time.
When
I'm doing it, and let me do this, let me do that, let me make sure, because that's taught me. Like, it's happened a few times, and just make all these checks. Even in business, bro. Like, whenever now, before I used to get really stressed, when I used to have a really stressful situation, because I'm deal with a lot of customers in customer service. And you know how it can be dealing with customers, bro. Like, it can be the end of the world, but the customer's always right. So you still got to deal with it, and there's been many times where I have to deal with loads of like bad stuff. Of course. It used to just like stress me out. Like, I would forget about everything else, and I would just focus on that, and it would overwhelm me at points. But now it's like I've been through that a few times now, and I'm thinking like every time that happens, I'm like, you know what? This is the blessing. Like, I'm getting this. I'm definitely learning something from this, and I'll take it in my stride. And then after that, and I've learned so much from that one. Then the other days when I'm just doing work and I'm banging shit out, and I don't learn as much of that. I'm just doing stuff. But now, when I'm struggling, that's when I learn the most, and I've just made sure that that's how it is all the time, and I've approached it with a positive mindset.
That's it.
It's the negativity in it that I take from it.
But that's it, man. And like I said, man, you're in perfect order, man. Like, just accept both sides of the life, man. Love is, they say that, love is this feeling, this happy feeling, but real love is, understanding balance of both sides of everything. Do you get what I'm saying? And I'm telling you, man, like that mindset that I've adopted, it's helped me in every scenario, bro. Anything you could ask me, anything that I've been through, and I'm telling you, how I've balanced out the order. Like, so for example, one of the hardest things that ever happened to me was not so long ago. It was like 2 years ago. My mum, so when I moved from the Caribbean, when I moved to the Caribbean, my mum came with me, but she stayed there. So my mum stayed there to look after my grandparents. And so she was over there for a bit, so I've come back to the UK and whatnot. So for about 15 years, I pretty much lived without my mum in terms of like she was always abroad. But 2 years ago, she came back. Obviously it was COVID, and she came over to see me from the Caribbean, because obviously because it's a small island, like there wasn't no flights because of COVID for a long time in it. So as soon as it opened up and they said you could fly out, my mum came to see me because she hasn't seen me for a few years. And literally, within 3 weeks, my mum caught COVID and she died here in the UK. Do you get what I'm saying? And that was a massive shock to me. Do you get what I'm saying? Because she was fine. She was literally fine. Like, she had no underlying issues. She was healthy, positive, bubbly. My mum come here. She spent a few days, at my new home. She was proud of me, stuff like that. And then she caught COVID and died. Like, that was tough. But again, I had to literally sit down and figure out what positive could possibly come from this. And that was the hardest task that I've ever had to do. Do you get what I'm saying? But I knew that there's a polarity in everything. Where there's a bad, there has to be a good, because polarity means everything is dual in nature. So I was thinking, what does this do for me? A year later, I have my daughter. So a lot of things that I'm missing my mum, I now got in my daughter. Do you get what I'm saying? One of the last things that my mum said to me is, Cordell, when are you going to give me a grandkid? Do you get what I mean? So to have my daughter a year later, crazy. At the time as well, in that moment, I was thinking, I've got more purpose now, because I want my mum to live through me. I want to share her stories with the world. I want to share her beliefs and her values as well that she's taught to me. So now I have more purpose now as well. I'm more driven. Don't get me wrong, I'm grieving. I'm going through, like it's hard, but I'm just trying to stay balanced at this point. And that mindset has helped me. People ask me all the time, how do you do it, bro? Like, you've just lost your mum. And not before that, I lost my nan 4 years ago. And it's crazy because I lost my nan 4 years ago. 2 years later, I lose my mum. My mum was still, when my mum died, she was still grieving her mum. Do you get what I'm saying? So it was a mad cycle. So what I'm trying to do is understand, okay, what's the two sides of this event? How can I possibly balance out this hurt and this pain that I'm feeling? And the only way that I could do it is by, trying to draw out as much positives as possible. And I do this as a coach, and people that go through things, I help them balance out their traumas. And by the time they finish with me, they literally have nothing but gratitude in their eyes because they've never seen that event in that way before. Do you get what I mean?
How does one like deal with that kind of situation or them scenarios where literally your emotions are on like the worst they can possibly be, like in terms of your mind's like in the wrong, like completely on the opposite side, and how do you pull your mind from that side to the other side? Like I don't personally have any experience really in losing a very, very close loved one at the moment, and that's one thing that I've always thought in my life, like once it comes to it, but like I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna have to take it on, face it.
Yeah, of course.
Like you said, take the positives from it when it does happen, or because it happens to everyone, and that's the only thing that's guaranteed in life is death. So
100%.
That's something every person pretty much has to deal with. So, like, when someone goes to that, because it can really affect you.
Yeah, of course.
Like, it's normal to, you're humans, and you're losing a loved one. It's like you're never going to see them again, and that can really affect someone, and it can really put them in a bad place. So
Yeah.
how do you pull someone out from that bad place to then basically improve and grow and have the gratitude and stuff?
There's a process that I've learned, and the process that I've learned which is it's not industry, and I'm not a grief coach or grief counselor or anything like that. But this is how I deal with it, and this is how I've helped other people being able to deal with it. But when you go through grief, I think what it is you miss a lot of the person's traits and stuff like that. So if you lose someone, you might miss their smile, their humor, and you miss those kind of traits. But because you're so blinded to one side, you're not realizing that what you've lost in somebody, you're actually gaining other people around you. And so you've got to do the work. You've got to put these things down on paper. So, okay, let's just say, for example, I miss my mum's praise. My mum always used to praise me. She used to put me on a pedestal all the time. She loved what I was doing with my life. I miss that. She was my biggest cheerleader. Now I've got to look at, okay, so that praise that I miss from my mum, where am I now receiving that from other people? Do you get what I'm saying? And now I receive that a lot from my clients. I receive that a lot from when I do public speeches and people message me continually saying, no, what you're doing is amazing. I receive that from certain friendship groups, from my partner, from certain people in my family. So that thing that I'm now missing, I'm actually realizing, you know what? I've got it, but it's in other forms. Do you get what I'm saying? So that's one way, number one. Number two, also, it is just understanding what could be, the divine order. Because divine order means, like you said, what you're telling me in terms of your religion, like you believe that everything's written. So I say it in a way that everything has a divine order. Everything happens exactly how it's supposed to. Do you get what I'm saying? So I have that concept and that belief. And also, just understanding how do I neutralize the situation. My mom's gone. What benefits, have happened since then? After I lost my mom, I buried her on the 7th of October, 2020, right? 2021. Moving forward, a month later, I was receiving an award from the King of England as Young Changemaker of the Year for all the work that I've done in schools, colleges, and mentoring and helping others. Do you get what I'm saying? Crazy. That's a crazy, that's mad. And then after that, I was on Good Morning Britain, sharing my mum's story. Do you get what I mean? And it's almost like her energy, because you die in flesh, but you don't die in spirit and soul. That's still around. Do you get what I mean? And now she lives through me, and I'm able to, she's helped me elevate. My career has elevated even more. But the only reason why it's elevated is because I had to balance out that mind. Do you know what I mean? And that event. And it's hard to do. I'm not saying it's easy to do. Do you get what I'm saying? But I've been able to do it. And anything you see someone else do, you can do as well.
Yeah, 100%, man. But yeah, like after that, like you said, it was hard to deal with for you, and then you've had this other side of it where you met the King of England, and you went on Good Morning Britain and stuff. Like, how did that then come about, and how did you you're still grieving at that point? Like, how did you switch into that mode to be able to be on the other side, like completely opposite side of it? Like you said, it's the balance and stuff. But how do you actually manage that in that point, especially because you said it was only like a month, 2 months, right?
Yeah, it was like a month after. Yeah,
that's very recent. It's very raw in you as well.
Yeah. Now, of course, I think, when you've got purpose and you've got clarity of life, it helps as well. So my purpose is literally, I want to, like, my brand, I want to impact, I want to inspire, and I want to just help as many people possible. Do you know what I mean? There's two ways that I want to do that: by helping them find purpose, helping them change their mindset, and also helping them master their message. So traumas that they've been to, I want to help them create their own story so they can share it with the world as well. I get a lot of fulfillment from that. So I was already on a career of purpose before my mum passed. But what she's done, what when she passed, what that done for me was put, like, go harder on my purpose. Do you get what I'm saying? It fueled me up even more. The fire was in my belly, and especially now my mum's gone, because now I'm thinking, you know what? I want to leave a legacy that she's left in me with other people, and I want to teach people what she's taught me as well. Do you get what I mean? And now she gets to, see me in a different form, innit? Do you know what I mean? Where she was missing out on quite a lot when she was in the Caribbean. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, that was one way that I done it. The way that I ended up getting the award from the King is because I was I still am. I'm an ambassador for the Prince's Trust, which is like, the King's charity, and I do a lot of mentoring and a lot of, business mentoring there. But not only that, I'm a speaker, so I speak in schools, colleges, unis, helping people with personal development and help to change their mindsets. I've probably spoke generally in front of way over 30,000 people now. Do you get what I'm saying? I've lost numbers now, but I'm talking in terms of assemblies, workshops, massive events, whether it's businesses, team training and stuff like that. When I accumulate the numbers, you're talking massive numbers, thousands of people. But I don't want to stop there. I want to impact millions and billions of people. Do you get what I mean? You see, if you've got a dream as big as your community, you'd only, impact your community, and some people do that, and that's amazing. But my dream is for the planet. Do you get what I mean? I've got a massive vision, bro. So I'm on a quest. I don't let no win get to my head, and I don't let no defeat get to my heart, bro. It's just how I just keep balanced and I just keep moving forward.
That's, like you said, it's your purpose and the legacy that you want to leave.
That's it.
And with the public speaking, like I get it, because I want to do that as well. I want to get to it, and we spoke about it last time as well. Like, how does it, like, like when I do these podcasts, like after it, I feel like euphoria and I feel like energetic and all that kind of stuff. Even though I said that, I do feel drained after the podcast.
Yeah.
I do feel a kind of growing sense of purpose and motivation, like just like in me, even if it's for like a day or two, and that's why I do it so often. Then it's always like around me, and I would assume that it would be the same when you go up on that stage, speak, then you come off it, and then especially with people coming to you, like asking questions or praising you and stuff like that. And you knowing that even if you change one person's life, that you've done your job, like how does that make you feel? And
I honestly, even thinking about it now, man, I get goosebumps, bro. Like, it's so important. I feel like when we go through things, we go through them for a reason. And I feel like God gives people battles that they know that they can survive. So if you've gone through a situation and you've survived that situation, right? I feel like it should be everyone's mission to go out there and help other people that are going through it. Because some people might not be able to make it out unless they hear your story or, your advice. So, going out there and sharing my journey and my story, which we all have, everyone's got a story. The person that you met at the petrol station today, the person, the last Uber that you jumped in, the taxi driver, we've all got stories to tell. But a lot of people don't like going out there and, public speaking. Because it's a massive fear of people. But what I try to do is help people overcome that and then share their story so they can change the world and change other people's lives. So when I'm speaking, I've had messages of people saying, like I've done events where people have come back and saying, Cordell, the information that I've just learned from you and the way you've just impacted my life, you've changed my life and not just mine, my kids' lives forever. Bro, those kind of messages. Crazy. I've had students, come out at one of my assembly talks and send me a message and saying, Cordell, you've gave me so much confidence that I had a scholarship. I gained a scholarship to America because I won a dance competition. And before I was going into that competition, I generally thought that I wasn't going to be able to do it. But that assembly fired me up so much that I went there. Not only did I go there and smash it, I ended up getting a scholarship to train in America for a few weeks. And I'm just like, okay, cool. Like, this has to be my purpose, bro. Like, if God's trying to use me through voice, then I've got to be out here and I've got to keep doing what I'm doing and sharing. And not only that, I feel like God's teaching me to want to teach others as well. Because when we look at religious books, right, and I'm not going into religion, but when we do look at religious books, whether it's, the Quran, the Bible, there's messages of the word in it. Do you get what I mean? And they communicate and they tell stories. And I'm just a modern day storyteller, and that's what I want to do. And I want to impact and help other people get better, find purpose, get more clarity of life, improve their mind, and share their stories with others so they can help other people get through things as well. But yeah, man, I've been on stages, I've done work with people like Fern Cotton, bring me out to festivals. I've worked with some of the biggest companies in the world, KPMG, HSBC, BBC. I've done a TED Talk as well. And listen, speaking has took me to a level that I didn't even think. It's made me meet people and get connections that I didn't even feel. Like I shared my story with Richard Branson. All right, gave me a letter. I've been interviewed by Lionel Richie, one of the biggest record selling artists in the world. I've got a shout out by Idris Elba in the newspaper. Crazy. Do you get what I mean? These are big people, but story impacts people, and humans, their natural we love a story. We've loved it from kids. Do you know what I mean? So all I'm doing is teaching people how to tell them. And it's kind of like when you've been at uni, right? So you went to uni. When you was in some of them lectures, I bet there was some lectures you're just like, oh, no, I need to get out of here. I can't. The way they're delivering it. But then you might have one or two lectures that are a bit different. Their tonality, the way they speak, the way they come across, the way they use their body language. They'll tell stories to get the point across. And they're the ones that you're actually quite interested in. Do you know what I mean? So, being able to communicate through storytelling is a powerful tool that I suggest everybody honestly learn.
So yeah, like with this public speaking and even like you coming on this podcast, like it's just one of those when you think about it, you don't know how many people it can affect and how many people, because in this day and age, like obviously back in the day as well, like you talking about how there's messengers from the religious books and stuff, like, that's how it'd be, they would speak to like masses and stuff. And like these days, like bro, we're on this podcast and someone on the other side of the country in the world could listen to it and gain knowledge from it, and just knowing that is what makes us want to do it and gives us the purpose towards it.
That's it.
So, like you said with the storytelling, everyone has a story, and then I didn't really believe that, because I thought myself I don't have a story. But then when you explained it to me last time when we spoke, and I kind of like got it, and now I understand how it kind of works. But it's about your delivery as well. How does someone like tell their story? Like for example, I would think like if you haven't, if you haven't, I would think only the people that have come from nothing to something are the ones that have the story. Like I would think, like that's what I used to think.
Yeah.
Like it could be someone, for example, let's say there's like a celebrity or something, or like a footballer or something, and they're like kids. Like their kids come and they've grown into wealth. But they still could do something themselves, and they could still have a story. But how would someone portray something like that, for like a hypothetical example? Like how would it be like, if they've gone through stuff, like how can they portray that?
Well, everyone's got a story in it, so it doesn't matter whether you get born into wealth and you got riches around you. Your dad could be a bastard to you when you was growing up, and now you've got a story to tell about the effects of childhood and parenting, and then you want to go and either inspire other parents to do better or inspire kids to be more resilient in those situations. Or you're born into wealth and you grow up around rich wealthy people, you start taking drugs, you become an addict, you have to go to rehab and then overcome it. That's now a story. But because you've overcome it now, you can go to that audience of people that have been wealthy in those situations and help them through it. Do you get what I mean? Because some people take their lives in those scenarios, and a lot of people do. A lot of people will take their life based on trauma that they're going through. So when you've gone through something, you should share and help others, because it's kind of selfish not to, because you could save somebody's life. Do you get what I mean? And that's how powerful it is. And I say there's 3 keys to, public speaking. 1, mastering storytelling. Okay, because the human mind loves a story. When you tell stories, the human mind releases dopamine and happy hormones, okay, oxytocin and stuff like that, right? So it's really important to be able to tell stories, because that's how you engage an audience. All right, they listen to a story. If I go up on the stage and I'm saying, hi, my name's Cordell Jeffers, and I'm just saying everything in bullet points. I run a business, I do this, I do that, I'm now a successful entrepreneur. People are just going to get bored. But if I go up on the stage, and before I even enter or say anything, I stand on that stage, I give a little bit of silence, and I say, if you was with me 15 years ago, you would have been standing in an airport in the Caribbean, about to leave your mum and your little brother to return to the UK. Boom! People are thinking from the get-go, whoa, where are we going here? Story time. Do you know what I mean? People would listen, they're leaning in now, they're trying to hear me. Do you know what I mean? So being able to tell a story, number one, is so crucial. And you tell characters, you use characters in there as well. You use like how like, I don't know if you've ever read a child's book to one of your nephews or nieces or anyone in the family, but remember how you used to get, children books used to get told? Same way you've got to tell a story, all right, for public speaking. The second most important thing I'd say is tonality. Being able to use your voice. Your voice is an instrument. Think of a piano. A piano's got 88 keys, all right, and you could play, you could play down here and it's like, and up here's like, use your voice in that way to keep people engaged. If you just sound one way throughout a whole speech, people are going to get bored. You've got to be able to use your voice, different volumes, high, low, pauses. That make the audience feel something. Do you know what I mean? Talking really quick, but then being able to slow it down. These are going to engage the mind. All right. So tonality, very important. And the third one I would say is body language. Being able to express your body in a certain way. When you're telling a story, you can show that through body language. It's like, if you bumped into somebody today or somebody bumped into you today, while you're driving here, sometimes people get out the cars and they're doing all sorts, but you don't know exactly, what they're saying, but you can tell what they're on. Do you know what I mean? Because of their body language. So body language can tell a story and send a message across. So it's really important that you kind of get those things important. And another thing on tonality, if I said to you right now, you've robbed my laptop, and I went, you've robbed my laptop, man. Like, you've robbed my laptop, you're going to be like, oh, is he just joking? What, is he just on a joke? But if I say, you've robbed my laptop, so you can say the same thing with two different tones and get two different messages. So that's why, understanding these things are important, man. So I'd say the three key things to public speaking and communication is: 1, being able to tell stories effectively; 2, your tonality; and 3, using your body language and expression to get that story across as well. If you master those 3 things, will be amazing. And if you want to master them, quick plug, I'm your guy.
Yeah, like all those things you just spoke about, definitely not understand. I watched your TED talk. That was sick, bro. Like, it was really inspiring and interesting, and how it was very engaging and hooked. Like, when I was watching it, I wasn't even paying attention like how long it was and how long, because like you said, it was using different tones and different energies and stuff. Like, for example, you was talking about when you was in the Caribbean, and then you spoke about how your mum passed away, then it was like a low tone, and could get that out of the audience and get that the empathetic vibe and stuff. And then it's like with the body language as well, and you started off with the Caribbean story, and then it got to how you are today, and then the law of polarity and all that kind of stuff. And I could tell that the audience would have been hooked from that. They've been gripped by it, and hooked, storytelling, like you said, it's like with every story, like you said, the children's book is like a hook, and then
that's it.
Getting that in, and like we spoke about before, like films and stuff and TV shows, whatever.
The hook.
Well, films, I don't know about TV shows, so they're like episodes and stuff, but like a film is like one story, like all the way from the front to the end.
Yeah.
And it's like if it's a bad plot with not plot holes and stuff like that, you're not really going to enjoy it. But if it's something that hooks you, and then it has the different tones, and
that's it.
By tone, I mean like what I was talking about, like the audio visuals and that kind of stuff. Like the visuals will hook me, and the audio, like the different sound effects and all that kind of stuff, that hooks you on.
Hooks you,
and that's like the tonality and the body language and stuff you're talking about is similar. We're telling a story, and like you said, humans love a story, and
humans love a story.
It keeps you engaged and it pulls you in. That's why a lot of people love watching films, because it pulls you in.
It pulls you in, and I think like everyone loves a rags to riches kind of story as well. So you can't just go into your audience and act like the big man, and that's what a lot of speakers do. They go on stage and they want to talk about all their achievements straight away. They want to gain that credibility straight away from the audience. Listen, when you do that, there's 2 things that's going to happen. The audience is going to think you're a cocky bastard, number 1, or number 2, people are going to think, oh, I can't relate with this guy. He's too far. I can't attain what he's attaining. So you're going to get those 2 thoughts. The best way to start is talk about your backstory, your struggles, your pains, and how you've had to overcome them. And then give them a science at the end as well. Give them a simple step framework of what they can do to achieve the results you have. And when they've gone from story, struggle, to breaking point, breakthrough moment, where you've started to achieve, and then all your successes, and then you give them a science, you're going to get this all day long. all day long, bro. Do you get what I mean?
That sounds like the blueprint, man.
That is the blueprint. That is what I teach, man. Do you know what I mean? That is what I teach, man. So
that's what I was talking about earlier. Like when I was talking about like growing into the wealth or being like a offspring of like a famous person or a successful person, and I was like, you know what, like someone generally, like if you're closed-minded, you might think like, what am I going to learn off this guy? Like he's just grown into wealth and he's already made it and this and that. But like you said, bro, everyone has struggles and everyone's been through something, and if that person that's in that situation, they actually share their struggles or start with something like you said. For example, they could have, like, I don't know, like you said, they went into drug addiction or something, and they started a story talking about how, I don't know, they was like on the floor or something, like, you know, they passed out and stuff like that. They started with that would talk to them, and then they would talk about it, and then that way, instead of talking about like, this is what I grew into and stuff like that, like you said, it alienates the audience.
It alienates the audience, because imagine, let's just say, hypothetically, we were talking about a guy that's talking about a drug addiction. If he goes on and says, hi guys, I was a past addict, you know, I've overcome it now, and you know, I'm doing great, like it's boring, do you know what I mean? But if that guy goes on and says, 4 years ago, I was sitting in a dingy alley with a belt wrapped around my arm, about to put a needle of heroin in me. Boom. Audience hooked. What? Straight away, bro, everyone wants to hear more. Do you get what I'm saying? So that's what you've got to do, man. And it's even, I just said that to you, bro. You pictured it. You're thinking, shit, like, yo, I want to hear more of that. Do you get what I'm saying?
You know what it is?
So,
it immerses you in that.
It immerses you in it.
You know when you just like, from nothing, you just drop the scenario, like, drop it into
straight,
the deep end, bro. And it's like...
And I love films like that. Do you know those films that they show you like something, and then they show you something mad, and then it goes, 5 years before, and then they lead back up to that point. I love those kind of hooks, you know, like when they start them stories, because it's like, like, I want to know what happened, but then they give you the backstory up to it. I like them kind of them films as well. So that's how I teach a lot of my students to, like, you know, share their stories and stuff.
Where did you learn like the storytelling kind of thing? Like, was it through like the books you read and like stuff you watched, or did you learn it from someone, or how did you get the experience for that?
I was always good at communication and, you know, talking with people. I always had an ability to inspire and help people think differently. And I would say that the way I kind of learned, I knew that I was talking. I wanted to speak and inspire. That was something I always wanted to do. I used to listen to a lot of Tony Robbins when I was young. Les Brown, do you know what I mean? I'd hear Les Brown talk, and Les Brown used to have me hooked. Do you know who Les Brown is? He's like a massive motivational speaker, and he used to have me hooked by his stories. And I was thinking, like, this guy is amazing. And then I just thought, you know what? I'm just going to learn everything about speaking. I want to speak and inspire, and that is clearly what. And the thing is, there's something called synchronicities, right? And we all have them. Like, you could think about, like, if I was to ask you what your purpose is, and you told me, we could look back in your life where you've been, where it's been guided. It's a synchronicity. Like, so say you're doing business now, right? Let's say there's probably elements of your life, like in your teenage years, in your kid, where you've actually displayed business skills. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's a synchronicity. For me, with public speaking, a lot of my synchronicities came from always being outspoken in class. Yeah. Teachers used to kick me out of school for speaking. Now I get paid to talk. Do you get what I'm saying? So that was number one. Number two, I was always inspiring people around me. Do you get what I mean? I would always make people stop, think about their actions, and make them try to change them, and make them think of another way. So I always had that ability. So I knew I was born to communicate and speak and inspire. That is my thing, innit? And don't get me wrong, you know, I speak in all sorts of environments. So I'd say one amazing thing that I love about storytelling as well is the fact that, you know, your story coming from your background can inspire people from different backgrounds as well. So for example, I done a lot of work in schools and colleges as a public speaker. I used to do assemblies. And what it was is I had a fear of going to, you know, corporates and working with massive organizations. And the reason why I had that fear, and this is most people's fear with public speaking, they feel like somebody in the crowd is more intelligent than them. So they don't want to speak because they don't want to look stupid or sound stupid. That is the realistic fear of why people don't want to go out there and public speak. All right. But I've realized when you tell stories, you know, stories of love, stories of heartbreak, stories of win, losses, these are all transferable stories, the universal stories. Everyone's been through, the feeling of love, of a heartbreak, the feeling of loss, gaining something, the fear of winning and a loss as well. So when I'm in an audience, let's say KPMG or another corporate, and let's just say it's a crowd of people that look completely different to me, wealthy, white men, middle class or something like that, right? I can easily shut myself down and think, do you know what? I don't want to talk in front of these guys. But when you tell a story, like I said, it can relate to them. So if I'm talking about my story, I can easily flip it to them and say, I want you to think about a time in your life when you've been through trauma, a time that felt so dark you couldn't even see the light at the end of the tunnel. Think about how you felt. But that's exactly how I felt in that moment. So I'm going into my story, throwing it back to them, making them feel that emotion and tell them, but that's how I felt. Do you get what I mean? So now they're relating with me because they're like, shit, like, what he's talking about there, I've felt the same feeling. Do you know what I mean? And that stories bring people together, man. They bring people together, and I think, yeah, man, it's so important. Yeah, but don't get me wrong. You've got to know your audience. You've got to know your crowd. You got to know, if I'm speaking at a school, then speaking at a massive corporate. Obviously, the delivery might be slightly different. The stories, I might add different stories that relate. So you've got to understand your crowd and your audience and what the objective is as well. So if you are a public speaker and you are going to events, speak with the organizers beforehand, understand who's in that audience, and understand what do you want me to get out of this talk? What do you want that audience to leave away feeling? Do you want them feeling inspired? Do you want them to learn something? You've got to do all that kind of due diligence.
Yeah, due diligence, bro. That's like super important in everything, and you got to do your research. You got to adapt to certain situations, like you said. If you're going to a school or if you're going to like a corporate place.
Yeah, of course.
The story is going to be slightly different and suited for them and tailored for them.
Exactly.
You work that way, and you research on what you're going to do, and you don't just go through and do that. Like me doing this podcast, like I do try to do the research on the guests. Either I know them already or I have to do some research to find out. If I turn up, and I've heard stories before, like with people telling me like, I went to this podcast or certain things and that, like they didn't even know anything about me and stuff, and it's like you can't have the same conversation like we have.
Exactly.
Like, the raw conversation, you can't have it. Like I wouldn't know what to ask you then. I'm just looking at you and then like,
exactly.
So
you gotta do your homework, man.
It's important, and then like you said, bro, like with the it's the synchronized. What did you say? What's
synchronicity.
Synchronicity. Yeah. And you see that kind of stuff, like it's business acumen and business. Like it's already ingrained in you certain stuff, like when you're younger and stuff. And similar to what you said, bro. Like I see that now, like when I used to do it, or even like like doing the podcast or making videos and stuff. Like as a kid, I used to make YouTube videos, like playing FIFA and stuff like that. So
of course.
Now, but back then it was just fun, and I was like, I'm doing it. And then I look back, like, it kind of makes sense, like why I used to do that. I never really realised it until now, innit? You connect the dots, bro.
And this is the thing, man. Like, I think that's a good entry to like talking about purpose. And everyone feels like people say, I want the biggest question that I get as a coach as well, like trying to help people, and as a speaker is, I don't know how to find my purpose. That is one big question. And I always say, your purpose isn't outside of you. Anything that if you've got to find your purpose, what you're actually doing is you're trying to find somebody else's fantasy and adapt it to your own. Like, your purpose is already within you. It's already instilled in you. Your life already demonstrates your purpose. It's just that you're not being self-aware of it. If I ask you a series of questions and I say, where do you spend your most money? Let's say you say, I spend it a lot on podcasting. If you say, on podcast equipment. If you say, okay, what do you do most of your time? I'm researching for guests. If I say, what do you think about the most? How to improve my podcast? Well, then clearly, this is your purpose. Do you get what I'm saying? And I can get if anyone spends a session with me, I can get their purpose out of them. Do you know what I mean? Just by asking a series of questions. And then what you do is you start to see what their values are, and your values is purpose. That is what your purpose, your highest value is your purpose, right? But what people tend to do is take on society's values. Do you know what? My purpose has to be going to, college, uni, and I need to then get a job and work for. No, that might be somebody else's. Do you know what I mean? Like, so anything that someone tells you that you should do, your mom tells you that you should do something, the man down the corner shop when you get your Twix every morning says that you should do something. The bus driver might tell you what you should do in life. When you hear the word should, it means that you shouldn't. Okay? Because you know what you want to do. You know what's inspired within. You don't need motivating for it. right? Because motivation is an external force. Inspiration comes from within. It's you're inspired from within. So you've got to figure out, sit down and do the work. All right. Ask yourself some questions and figure out what your purpose is. Because if, let's just say somebody loves cats, they spend all their money on cats, they love their cat, all they ever think about is, looking after cats or whatever, then maybe what you need to do is we need to find about how you can monetize that love for cats. And maybe you can start a cat business. You can start a cat clothing line. Maybe you might want to do your own cat food. These are all billionaire ideas. Do you get what I'm saying? But you just think, oh, do you know what? I love cats and there's no way I can make money from it. It's a stupid thing. Da, 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 da. No, like go out there and see how you can monetize it. Do you get what I mean? There's how many cats will be in the world? Like billions probably. I don't know, millions in it. So there's definitely a service or a product that can make you money from it. So what people need to do is figure out what they love to do and find a way to monetize it. Don't tell that young kid to come off the PlayStation. Like, that guy could be the next biggest gamer in the world. He could create a YouTube making games. He could create a subscription magazine making games. You know what I'm saying? That's his purpose. Anything that you do where you lose track of time and space, where you're like, oh, do you know what? I'm here for hours. That is probably what your purpose is. Do you know what I mean? So your purpose isn't outside of you. It's already within, man. You just got to do the work.
I think one thing as well with finding your purpose, and if you've made mistakes in the past, is like people get maybe a bit bogged down from that. Like you said, if someone's telling you go through the schooling system, go to college, university and stuff, like you might get bogged down like, oh, I've done this now, like, how am I going to find my purpose, or how am I going to get into the next thing? But for me, it's like we discussed before, everything happens for a reason. And I don't, like I said, I did a mechanical engineering degree, but I don't use it anymore. I never used it, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I don't regret that I went to uni, because I learned different things in uni.
Yeah, of course.
It happened for a reason. Like, maybe I could have went a different path and started my entrepreneurial journey sooner, but I would have maybe made different mistakes and stuff would have happened. But I went through that, and I don't regret going to uni, because it did teach me like certain things. Like, it teach me like how to work in a team and collaborations, working on projects and stuff like that.
Course.
And those kind of things, it did teach me kind of, those things. And so I don't personally regret it. So it was, even though it was like student loan and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, of course.
I'm still happy to do it, and I wouldn't change a thing going back.
Of course. Well, that's it. It's not about regretting anything. Yeah. But the people that are not moving forward because they feel like they don't know what their purpose is, you do know what it is. It's already in you. Yeah. It's already, the seeds are there. What you enjoy, what you love, what you think about most of the time, what takes up most of your mental capacity, that's it. And it could be, listen, people would say things like, oh, all you do is watch Netflix, all you do is, watch the Kardashians or gossip about celebrities. That's normally what, a lot of girls, okay, I don't want to say that, but that's what a lot of people might do, right? And let's just say that people are telling you shouldn't be doing that. Again, if that's what you love, find a way to monetize it.
Sounds like a journalist, bro.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Paparazzi.
Well, that's it. There you go. Become a journalist at it. Become a paparazzi. Go follow the celebs around or whatever it is. Do you know what I mean? But that might be what you love and feel inspired to do. Just do it. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. So I definitely agree with, doing the thing you love. Like, that could be most likely possibly your purpose, because, you lose track of time and, you really enjoy what you do. It doesn't feel like work. But on the contrary of that, a lot of people that become successful or, give that kind of advice, they say not to do what you love. Like, it might not necessarily be your purpose. Like, you might, for example, I don't know, like the examples you gave, like you go do something like that, but when it becomes a business, it might stop being fun for you because you started making money and there's like stresses on it, if that makes sense. So what would you say to that? Like, how, I don't know, like, for example, I do agree with what you said, but I do kind of get that. But then, I don't know, like, how do you go from that then? If you enjoy something, you have a hobby, but then when you actually do it for work, you don't enjoy it anymore.
All right, cool. So the best way that I would say is, what you build, do what you love. Like, whoever says don't do what you love, you're just giving yourself another job in it. Do you get what I'm saying? Because it takes force in it. Do you get me? You got to do things that you feel inspired from in, and things that you feel inspired from within, you love to do. When you do what you love, you don't work another day in your life. That kind of concept, right? However, though, when you build a business, you are going to have tasks that you then don't love. What you need to do is understand what your high priority tasks are that you feel inspired to do, and try to delegate and automate the things that you don't feel inspired to do. So if that's me, hate emails, hate certain things, I've got to get myself a VA. Do you get what I'm saying? If you ain't got the money to get yourself a VA, go get one of your little cousins and give him some work experience or something. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, focus on tasks that you love. I love to turn up create my keynotes, speak, learn about speaking, read, learn and teach. That's what I love, right? Anything else that I've got to do, like finding myself public speaking engagements, responding to emails, things like that, I delegate. So then I'm focused on things that I love in it. Do you get what I mean? And delegate the rest. And because if you want to, obviously at the start, you feel like you've got to do everything in it. Do you get what I'm saying? But try bring on somebody on the team that can help you. You might be able to give a bit of a percent of your business away or some shares, or I don't know what it is. Do you know what I mean? But figure out a way of you staying focused on what you love and delegating the rest. And that's the simplest form of what you've just said. The simplest answer that I could give you.
Yeah, with every business there's going to be struggles anyway, so you have to.
And that's it.
You have to deal with that when you're making the money.
But here, what then? That's amazing what you just said. Every business has struggles. So if you're doing a business that you don't love and you get a struggle, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to probably quit it quickly. You're going to think, this is long. I don't even love it like that. Yeah. If it's something you love, you will love the struggle as well. Yeah. You'll love the struggle because you're like, listen, I'm so inspired to make this my mission that these struggles are not. This is data for me. This is me learning. Do you get what I'm saying? Because every single loss is a lesson at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? So when them struggles come, you're going to pivot forward anyway. So
we spoke about self-development, we spoke about public speaking and stuff, and another thing that you focus quite a lot on is mindset and, shifting your mindset. What would you say, what is the importance of that in business or even just in general in life, going through day-to-day life?
Yeah, I think mindset is really important. I think it's the key to life because your thoughts that you have, they determine your beliefs. Your beliefs determine the way you act and your behaviors. So, having the right thought processes can help you, drastically in life. But the thing is, what happens is, we get programmed from a very young age. And that program subconsciously and unconsciously stays in us until adults. So parenting is very key, very early on. And environment is very key early on as well. So what we tend to have to do is we have to kind of unlearn and start to relearn the truth. And the truth is having a balance, being able to have a balanced mindset is important, and being able to, stay resilient as well. So mindset in business for me is everything, because human nature, the brain is like thousands of years old and it's built for survival, innit? So we always think about worry and negativity because back in the day, we was trying to get away from tigers and stuff like that. So all our mind was, how can we get away and escape this situation? And we always look out for the negativity. That's why when you're going about your day-to-day life, the mind is wired for you to hear the police sirens, everything. There's thousands of sounds going on around you, but your conscious mind's looking out for the things that are going to keep you alive. Like, what's that police siren? What's the horn? Is there an ambulance across the road? Like, you can hear those things very vividly, and it could be from far away, but it's your survival, mind that's looking out for those things. So what we have to kind of do is we have to just kind of reprogram our mind for success. One way that I do believe is by reprogramming through your RAS system, which is your reticular activative system. And that's a system in your mind that basically takes out things that's important to you. So let's say, for example, you're always looking at a new car and you get infatuated with this car. You've got a nice car outside. So you probably before you got that car, you probably looked at the car and thought, oh yeah, this is a car that I want. Probably put it on your vision board. You probably put it on your screensaver. And then before you even got your car, you started to see that car everywhere. And you're thinking, like, I never used to see it before. But then what you've done is you started to focus on it, all right? Then it started to show up everywhere. That's called your RAS system, your reticular activative system. What you focus on in life shows up in your life, all right? So if you focus on negativity, what do you think is going to show up in your life? Negativity. But if you focus on positivity as well, positive things will show up. If you focus on business things are going to show up. So I do believe it's very important that we reprogram our mind through, what we think about on a day-to-day. We have to learn how to reprogram it through visualization, through, affirmations, through reading, through personal development, man. Your mind is the key to your life. Yeah. So it's very important.
I think some of the reprogramming happens just through experiences, I'd say. I don't know, like, for me,
of course.
I don't think I made a vision board, but I hardly ever look at it. But I'll be honest, I made it. I was gonna stick it on my wall. I just have it on the side. Sometimes I look at it, but it's already in my head. Like I know it's not good to just keep stuff in your head, but I don't really look at it. But I know, like my vision board, like for example, I have a nice car on there, but I get inspired when I look at my own car. Like I'm thinking that I want the next one. I'm thinking that I want to go to the next level, and I know it's materialistic, but that's the kind of thing how I operate in my brain, and like in terms of changing my mindset towards looking for opportunities. So that's what with the reticular activating system you mentioned, like looking for like when you see a new car and stuff, like it's like spotting the opportunities. And for me, I feel like maybe before I never used to spot opportunities as much, but ever since like I grew in the business and I started doing podcasts, going to networking events, I started spotting more opportunities. And in terms of my opportunities, like my biggest thing is like networking with people and connecting with people, because I think you can have the best product in the world, you can have the best service and stuff, but when you connect with the right people and you've got the right contacts, bro, like you can go different levels to someone that has a better product than you, but they don't have the contacts.
Of course.
I always look out for those opportunities wherever it is. Like I'm not gonna say too much of what I'm like doing, but like if I spot an opportunity where I can meet a certain person or see something, even though I might have to like travel far, or might have to spend a bit of money, but I get in front of that person, I can speak to them, or get in the same room as someone, bro, I'll do it. Like I'll forget about everything else I'm doing. I'll just take a whole day to just go do that. If I have to, for example, if there was someone abroad like wanted to connect with me and do a podcast, and it was quite someone that I was interested in, like, bro, I'd catch the next flight.
Of course.
Go there, go do it, sort that out, no matter what.
Of course.
And then just outsource it. If I've got work to do here, I get someone else to sort it out.
Of course.
But I feel like I learned that through my experiences, like seeing those opportunities. Maybe before I would have,
of course.
Now that's exactly it. I think when you focus on, things show up in your life, innit? So ideally, your values and your purpose, because you focus on those things, it's filtering your reality. So for example, let's just say me and you went to the shopping centre in the boardroom. Let's say my highest value is, kids and my daughter and stuff like that. I'm going to see everything in that shopping centre that's going to be associated to my value. I'm going to see the kids' clothes, the toys, and things like that. But let's say you're in the exact same shopping centre, but your highest value is business. You're going to go in there and see everything associated to business. You're going to see, office spaces or shops for let. You're going to see, busy shops, and you're going to be wondering, okay, what's that product? Can I get my hands on it? You're going to be looking at opportunities to network with people. You're going to see those things because that's what you focus on. That's what your life demonstrates. That's your value, your purpose. And I'm going to see something completely different. So, yeah, man, that is the main thing. Basically, guys, focus on your purpose, focus on your values, and they will show up in your life. It's a cheat code, really.
Definitely, bro. But we've had a long one today, bro. Like last time I think it was only an hour. But, bro, everything happens for a reason, man. That's why we had to come back here today. So, guys, thank you for watching this episode. If you enjoyed the episode, leave a like and make sure you subscribe to the channel. Also, leave your favorite bit of the podcast in the comments below. Let me know what you like the most. And if you're also interested in public speaking, mindset, self-development, Cordell's your guy. I'll leave his profiles in the description below. So check him out, hit him up, send him a DM, and he'll get back to you. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.